Our benefit systems, the way they work, they're so important that people, have food, that they can pay their rent. But it's also important that people are able to live their lives and take care of their families and have fun and do the things that make life worth living. And more cash in people's pockets allows people to do that.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. It's tax season, and United Way is doing what it can to help you get back some of your hard-earned wages via refunds and credits. In this episode, we'll discuss United Way's one-day free tax preparation events, and we'll provide information about the Washington State Working Families Tax Credit. We'll also hear a message from United Way President and CEO Gordon McHenry Jr. about our work during these challenging times, and we'll spotlight a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. In last week's episode of Hourglass, we spotlighted United Way's free tax preparation campaign, a service for individuals who make less than $80,000 a year or less than $96,000 for non-single filers. We mentioned that our free tax prep campaign is available at more than a dozen locations across King County and is offered virtually. We also offer one-day tax prep events at local organizations, particularly those who serve communities that might have challenges accessing our regular tax sites. We call these one-day tax events pop-ups, and each pop-up is held up to 8 hours for a minimum of 10 clients. Organizations that stage pop-ups enable their staff, their volunteers, and the people they serve a chance to get their taxes done on site. United Way began offering pop-ups just before the COVID-19 pandemic, as local organizations asked whether we could bring our services to their locations. We've obliged, and today pop-ups have become so popular that for this tax season, all events were scheduled before last October. Organizations that have staged pop-ups include the Renton Senior Activity Center and the Hearing, Speech, and Deaf Center in Seattle. As is the case at our regular free tax prep sites, folks attending pop-up events can file for the Washington State Working Families Tax Credit. More about that later. For now, we've invited Casey Lantz, United Way's Outreach and Relationship Coordinator for Tax Credits and Financial Stability, to tell us more about our one-day pop-up events.
The rationale behind them is that certain agencies serve populations that might have barriers to come into one of our normal sites. We try to operate all over the county, but, there's a variety of reasons that people may not go. I mean, they may have disabilities. They may have trust issues with the wider community. They may have language barriers. So we've really tried to tool these to serve specifically like immigrants or refugees. Yeah, the goal is just to serve people who might otherwise not have been served.
Great. And what should organizations and what should clients look out for this year when filing, when using our pop-ups?
Well, they're one-day events, so it's a little easier at our permanent tax sites if you forget something or if you don't have everything with you. But it's with our one-day events, particularly the ones that are out in kind of more rural spots or places that are kind of isolated from our normal sites, it's going to be really difficult to add anything to your return if you don't have. We can. There are ways of doing it. So I would say even more than at our normal sites, it's really important that you bring your photo ID, your social security card, or a picture of your social security card, or the same thing for your ITIN, or if you don't have that, but you receive social security income, that as long as you have that SSA 1099, that'll have your full social security number on it. And also as well, all of your tax documents, particularly to highlight if you're on state healthcare, and you pay into it. So not Apple, not if you're getting it for free, but if you pay into the state for your health insurance on WashingtonHealthPlanFinder.org, please bring your 1095A. It'll be required to file and your return will reject if we don't have it. If you did pay into the system, but you didn't receive your 1095A, That's okay. You can just log in to your account on WashingtonHealthPlanFinder.org, and you can find it under tax forms. Same thing if you're not sure, if you can't remember, just log in and give it a look. It's just really important that we have that form. This year, it's been, I'd say, it's like our number 3 reason for rejects this year is that health form. So please bring it in. But other than that, not much else to expect. We operate exactly as we would at any other tax site, so don't expect anything differently there.
Okay, speaking of that, operating as we do our existing tax sites, one of the things that Washingtonians can do is apply for the Working Families Tax Credit. Can they do that here?
Yeah, we prepare the Working Families Tax Credit as a part of our tax preparation. And in fact, if you missed the first couple payments, it's not too late to get them. So we can file for those if you didn't receive them. And the easiest way to do that is just by filing. So we are happy to assist with that process.
Great. And then perhaps lastly, what are some of the current pop-up locations open, and how long will they be open?
So we've only got a few left at the time of this recording, or when it will be released. We will have one at the Goodwill Dearborn location, not at the store, but at the Training and Education Center that's just to the right of the store. So if you're like on Dearborn and you go to the Goodwill, turn right and you'll see a big building that's behind a parking lot filled with trucks. It's that building.
Okay.
So we'll have one there, and then it'll be on March 28th from 12 to 5 p.m. We'll also have one at the Vashon Library on April 11th from 11 to 5 p.m.
Oh, good.
So please feel free to come to one of those events if you need it and you're nearby. If you can't make it, that's okay. We have plenty of other locations, and we also have our virtual tax site if you are not able to get to one of our sites because it's too far away. And we're also launching a statewide VITA tool to help find VITA sites if you're not in King County.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be posted on our website pretty soon. You know, if you have family, friends, you yourself live too far away from United Way of King County Services, hopefully that website will find you a VITA location near you.
Casey mentioned that folks who attend our pop-ups can file for the Washington State Tax Credit, which the legislature and governor launched in 2023. Its official name is the Washington Working Families Tax Credit, and it was created to provide low-income Washington residents with an annual infusion of cash, from at least $50 to up to $1,290. The tax credit is for those who have lived in Washington at least 183 days by the end of the previous year, those who have filed their federal income tax returns for the previous year, and for those who made less than $49,084 the previous year. Hourglass invited Leila Reynolds, Campaign Communications Manager for the Washington State Budget and Policy Center, to tell us more about our state's tax credit. Here's what Leila had to say.
So we're the only state without an income tax that has implemented a state tax credit like this, which is really cool. So the Working Families Tax Credit, it's up to $1,290 per year. Families and people can claim it every year. It's modeled after the Earned Income Tax Credit. So if you're eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit, you're also eligible for the Working Families Tax Credit. So that's like an easy way to know if you're eligible. And it ranges from $50 to $1,290, depends how many kids you have, what your income level is. And it has had a huge impact in Washington State. Just in the last year, more than $130 million went out to hundreds of thousands of people and families across our state. And I just got some data back from our Department of Revenue that over 250,000 children benefited from the Working Families Tax Credit last year, which is really amazing.
Wow, 250,000.
Yeah.
Do we know basically what people say they use it for?
Yeah, I hear from people saying that they've used it to catch up on rent, that they've used it for groceries. They've used it to be able to plan like a birthday party for their kids, which is really amazing. Just like that extra cash boost, like people always have something in mind that they'll use it on. I think that's even true for me and you. Like if I asked you, hey, if I handed you 500 extra bucks, you probably have
I could
immediately
think of something to do with it, right?
Yeah. I could also think of something to do with it. So I think people are using it for all kinds of things, but mostly to meet essential needs and to make sure that their families are taken care of.
What a great way for people to get some of that hard-earned money back. And how often are people taking advantage of the working families tax credit?
Yeah. Well, what we saw in the first year of implementation was that just under half of eligible households are claiming their tax credit, which for the first year of something like this, when people are just still getting to learn about it, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Federally, we see that 1 in 5 households miss out on their federal earned income tax credit. And since it's, the eligibility is similar, it's not surprising that people are missing out. But we have seen this year that has gone up. So it's around 56% of households are claiming, which is really great. Glad to see it. The Department of Revenue advocated for the Department of Revenue to get funds for outreach grants, which we think have really helped with that. And we do see that 1 in 10 of the households claiming the working families tax credit are ITIN filers. And if you don't know, an ITIN is an alternative to a social security number that often is used by families who are mixed status or undocumented workers to file their taxes and pay their taxes. So we're really excited that that population is taking advantage of this credit because it's a big deal.
No, you think about that, and we think about so much of the current political climate at the federal level. That will not impact this.
No. The Working Families Tax Credit is administered by our state. That's something we see confusion with people about. For good reason, it is confusing. But it's administered by our state Department of Revenue, and the IRS funding will not impact the Working Families Tax Credit in any way.
Great. And so now, how do I apply for the Working Families Tax Credit?
Yeah. So the first thing is to apply for your Working Families Tax Credit, you do need to file your federal taxes. So I always recommend United Way's free tax prep sites to people because it's a one-stop shop. It's an easy, safe way to get your taxes done, your federal taxes done, and then the free tax prep folks will then immediately help you apply for your Working Families Tax Credit at the same time, which is awesome. Another thing that I recommend to people is a lot of folks don't know this, but there's been a big win this year. We have a free, safe, direct from the IRS way for folks to file their taxes called Direct File. It's a question and answer style, mobile friendly, online service that people have been raving about. All of the data we've seen come back have said that people have been able to do their taxes in less than an hour, which is really incredible.
Really?
And if you make under $200,000, you're probably eligible to file your federal taxes with Direct File. I always recommend that to folks. And after you file your federal taxes with Direct File, you would then need to complete your Working Families Tax Credit application directly through the Department of Revenue website, which is www.workingfamiliescredit.wa.gov. And that's how folks can claim it. And if folks are using, tax software like TurboTax or H&R Block, this year TurboTax, I believe, is integrating the Working Families Tax Credit application into their software.
Okay.
So it should be in there, but not every online software unfortunately, integrates the Working Families Tax Credit, and they may charge you fees. So just to reiterate, what I always tell people is your best option is go to free tax prep, If you're lower income, like if you make under 80K, like most of us, you can go to myfreetaxes.com or getyourrefund.com. Both of those tax prep softwares integrate the Working Families Tax Credit application into their service. So you'll get it done in one place. But if you have any doubts, like you're like, I did my federal taxes, I'm not sure I claimed my Working Families Tax Credit, you can always call the Department of Revenue and double check. Their call center is extremely responsive. And that number is available, again, on the workingfamiliescredit.wa.gov website. And then you can complete your application for free on their website. You'll just need to make sure that you have your federal tax return available.
So again, you cannot apply for your Working Families Tax Credit until or unless you have filed for your federal IRS application.
Correct.
Good. What's the turnaround time between filing and possibly getting that tax credit?
I always tell people to be patient. The Department of Revenue is doing their best. We've encouraged them to try and make the process as fast as possible. But if for some reason folks have an error on their application, it can take up to 90 days because they manually review. But the majority of applications are processed in around 30 days. So just be patient. It's not as fast as we'd like it to be, but you will get your money. So that is a great thing to know.
And is there a deadline for filing for the Working Families Tax Credit for this year?
So this is the great thing about Working Families Tax Credit is there's not a deadline per se. So you can claim your Working Families Tax Credit all year long.
Okay.
And then I'm here because I work with a coalition called the Working Families Tax Credit Coalition, which is over 50 statewide organizations, including United Way, that advocate to improve and expand the tax credit. And we got legislation passed that allows people to claim up to 3 years back.
Wow.
So you can still claim your Working Families Tax Credit for last year. And we've seen lots of people take advantage of that. Just this last year, around 22,000 households claimed their Working Families Tax Credit for the year before because of this legislative change. So you can claim all year long.
And for someone that receives the Working Families Tax Credit, if I owe the IRS money, I'm not going to be affected by that.
No.
Right?
No. You'll still get your full Working Families Tax Credit refund.
And just lastly, can you just talk about maybe some of the stories of people that you hear? I know you talked a little earlier about what some folks do. Just really some of the things that make you say, this is why I do this work.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we work closely with SEIU 775, which is the Home Care Workers Union in Washington State. Essential workers who are caring for elderly adults and folks with disabilities in our state. And I have heard from some of those members that they've used the money to, fix up their car so that they can get to work, that they've used the money to have a day out with their kids, which they haven't been able to do in, years is what I was told. That's what makes it important that we are getting cash into the pockets of working people in Washington State, in my opinion, because our benefit systems, the way they work, they're so important that people, have food, that they can pay their rent, but it's also important people are able to live their lives and take care of their families and have fun and do the things that make life worth living. And more cash in people's pockets allows people to do that.
To learn more about the Washington Working Families Tax Credit, log on to workingfamiliescredit.wa.gov. For more information about United Way of King County's free tax preparation campaign, log on to freetaxexperts.org. And now a word from United Way of King County President and CEO Gordon McHenry Jr.
It's really important that folks who are part of the United Way community know that we are 100% committed to continuing to do the work we have been doing, the work that is rooted in equity, the work that is aspirational so that we have a region where everyone thrives. It's important for you to know that we see you, we hear you. We will continue to serve and support if you allow us that privilege. It's important to know that we are going to increase our proximity to the communities we're privileged to serve. We are going to be a courageous advocate for policies that uplift folks, and we're going to be a courageous advocate against policies and practices that serve to oppress or harm. If you give us the ability to be your partner, we will not let you down. We will stay strong, and we're going to make good progress. Thank you.
Interested in a volunteer opportunity? Sound Generations is seeking volunteers to join its Meals on Wheels program. Located in Seattle, Sound Generations promotes the social, emotional, and physical well-being of older adults through a network of community connections and services. Sound Generations Meals on Wheels program provides well-balanced, nutritious, ready-to-eat meals each week, with home delivery and specialized options like vegetarian and kosher meals. As a Meals on Wheels volunteer, you'll be part of a team that delivers meals to homebound seniors. Sound Generations is looking for drivers and meat packers to support deliveries in SeaTac. For more information, log on to soundgenerations.org. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.